You've probably all seen a classic rocket stove. There are plenty of great videos and all kinds of designs, including pocket rockets. But here I'm presenting the Rooster Rocket. We have a lot of small twigs, in particular rose prunings, and 8 years ago when I made our classic rocket with its usual horizontal feed, I found I was constantly having to add fuel. Now with the J stove, I'm hoping to have time to do other things whilst waiting for my tea, coffee or cocoa. I'm starting with the original mild steel pipe, 4-inch ID. I'm cutting off the chimney, it's too short for the new J configuration. This will now become the feed tube and burn chamber of the new rocket. First thing I'm going to do is start to cut things down and cut myself a new chimney tube. But of course here, which is going to be the combustion chamber, I'm going to have to make this a 45-degree cut. So that's it marked up for cutting. That's my 45-degree cut. So that's going to be the length of the burn tube. The feed tube, on the other hand, I'm going to cut a little shorter anyway, and then there's going to be a long chimney which ideally should be at least 3 times the length of the burn tube, but I'll probably do it 4 times anyway, but I'll see what it looks like. So that's the start. So first of all I'm going to cut this to 45 degrees. I realise that I've got quite a tight little well to do here. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right, so there's the new position, cut to length for the burn tube, which is this chap here. The chimney goes up there. It's about 40 centimetres long, and I'm ready to do the tack weld to get it all together and see how it looks. I've left the feed tube with this bevel on because I think that will give me a better influx of air. The length of the feed tube is 1 tube diameter. The burn tube is 2 tube diameters and the stack is 4 tube diameters. I've finished welding the burn tube to the chimney, and now I've bent the pot stands, which are here, and I've already tacked one of them to the top of the chimney. Now that will give me, they're at a height of 1 inch here. That will mean that the area left by the pot stands and the pot above the chimney is the same as the cross-sectional area of the chimney. And I'm going to weld the other 2 in place, and then it's time for the legs. For the legs and pot stand I'm using lengths of mild steel locking bars from some old windows I recuperated. So there's the pot stands welded in place at the top. I've just checked it with a kettle, and yeah, I've got a nice 1 inch gap between the base of the kettle and the top of the chimney. So what I've got to do now is to put the legs on. I've cut the 2 legs that I'm going to use to support the rocket at the smokestack end, and I've tack welded them in place, and they're parallel at the moment but at 45 degrees to the vertical stack. There it is. And then when I've finally fully welded it, I'm going to bend them out so that it's going to give me 2 wide standing legs, and there'll be a 3rd leg at the feed tube end, so we should have a stable tripod assembly to support the whole rocket. So this is the arrangement I'm using to bend the leg out. I've just put a reasonably long tube onto the straight leg, and I shall use that to apply the leverage to bend it out. Now how I'm going to do the other side I don't yet know, but the first side will be relatively easy. Voila! So that's the third leg in place. And what we're going to do is crank it out to the correct angle and then cut the whole thing, the leg, to length, and we should be able to try it then. Now I've just this second lit the rocket stove, and already, first of all, it's drawing nicely through the fire tube. Secondly, it's roaring, as you hope you can hear very well. It's a bit of smoke, and we've got some nice flames going through the fire tube, and it's feeding very well. Now it's a breezy northwesterly wind today, and I'm in a sheltered corner as always in this garden. This is an area that we eat in, so it's not too bad. It's well protected, but it is going very, very well. That's burning really cleanly. It's been alight for about 3 or 4 minutes. The kettle's been on for 2.5 minutes. Feeding in nicely as well, so it's going well. Now we're 8 minutes in, and I can just hear the kettle starting to boil now. Yeah, and there's some vapour coming out of the spout of the kettle. Can you just see that in the sunlight? I hope you can. So from cold, 8 minutes. That isn't bad going at all. Oh, it's coffee time! Yippee! It was after the first coffee that Sue noticed the resemblance of the jay to a cockerel or rooster, and with the addition of more steel window bar for the beak and a spot of weld for the eyes, the Rooster Rocket was born, or hatched.